Hi, not up for it, Groper here. I finally got my America First hat. I was making a video on Nick's collabs, and then the Tucker Carlson collab dropped. It's tough making videos on a camera phone. I don't have any timestamps. My first impressions, Tucker was tough on questions. Then he mellowed out. I liked the Nick Trump meeting story. And then he said, "Did you call your parents straight away in the car park?" It showed that Tucker has a soul. He's a human being. I also liked he dismissed Dave Rubin and Ben Shapiro as nobodies, and Nick won the battle against them. Nick needs friends and allies. I mean, I don't know if Tucker Carlson can be a friend, but an ally. I didn't like Tucker talked about DNA. Paul was a Jew. No, he wasn't a Jew. Paul believed in Jesus Christ. And he saw Jesus as the Holy Spirit on the road to Damascus. And that makes him not a Jew. It's not DNA. It's believing in Jesus. And I wish Nick had said that. Like Abraham disowns them as they don't believe in Jesus, their new father is Satan. So like I said, I was making another video that was similar, Nick's Galaxy. I watched a weird lady talking to Tim Dillon about the new establishment, right-wing podcasters. And Dillon makes fun of this, that they're not the establishment. And Nick's on a generational run. His star is ascending. And maybe, Tucker Carlson and Tim Dillon could be pulled into Nick's galaxy, his gravitational pull. So I thought so this video is going to be like Nick's galaxy, but we're also going to have a look at the left, the real establishment, and how big their universe is compared. We're up against it. I'm wearing a shirt. End liberal international principles, and so we're fighting liberals. America First hat. All right, let's get started. So here, where we start, the weird CNN lady is saying right-wing podcasters are the new establishment. Tim describes the establishment universe that Nick and his galaxy is up against.
I ask because do you feel like you're part of a new establishment that's being created?
I don't think I'm part of a new establishment. I think it would be pretty difficult to look at these podcasts. I know it's a popular thing right now, especially in certain media circles, to say that after running an incredibly unpopular candidate who was introduced very late in the race because an elderly man who could not be the president, who everyone told was functioning as the president for 4 years, decided to, this wind is wild, huh?
Yeah.
See? But this was a very specific circumstance in which Kamala Harris ran for the presidency.
Yeah.
She was somewhat unpopular, and she was not a star in Democratic politics before this at all. And her communication strategy was pretty weak. I think most people have admitted that. So to hang this defeat all on a few podcasts and to say that they were the problem, I just don't buy the narrative. So I don't think I'm a new establishment. If you weigh, again, a few comedians with podcasts versus all of the people that supported Kamala Harris, Democrat donors, billionaires, big people, if the idea is that me and a few comedians have more power than multi-billionaires, huge media institutions, a whole political party apparatus, I just don't think most people are going to buy that. I think it seems like a great way to excuse running an unpopular candidate on a platform that American people weren't sold on.
I think even beyond politics, though, even beyond the question of the election, again, I know the liberal Joe Rogan conversation is so dominant, and I think not nuanced enough, but there is power in a massive audience.
There's absolutely power in a massive audience, but if you're saying that power is equal to the CIA or all of these other people that have been very critical of President Trump, right?
Yeah.
So the idea that the power that Theo Von has would be equal to the intelligence agencies or these massive legacy media institutions seems crazy.
But you got way more audience than when you're saying we don't have power, we're not the CIA. Well, there's some gradations between that, and also I'm sure there's
Well, just you use the word establishment.
Yeah.
I didn't say that we didn't have any power or that audiences weren't powerful. But when you use the term establishment, I think that's more than just having an audience. That's having an institutional component that I don't think we have. But I think legacy media does. I think the government and the intelligence communities do. I think Hollywood certainly does. And I think all of those people, all of those power factions have worked together for a very, very, very long time. So to say that a few comedians with podcasts equal that seems crazy.
I see okay, I understand.
That's the only thing I'm saying.
It's I guess new establishment is kind of a term of art within old media, and maybe I'm not using that in a clear way, but it's this is the place to go to address Americans.
I certainly think it's becoming a place, and it should be a place, that a candidate should sit for a 2-hour interview with Joe Rogan. Why not?
But not just a candidate. Peter Thiel, Mark Andreessen, Elon.
Sure. They should do that.
Don't tell me that's not interesting. It's interesting.
It's very interesting.
Okay,
I think technology is very interesting.
What do you think of those tech people then?
I worry about them. I don't trust any of them, actually.
I was on the Reddit.
I don't trust any of them.
I was on the subreddit for your podcast.
Yeah. Healthy people.
I like Reddit, but
I think some of them are lovely.
Now, some of the people that nick alliances need to be big, as, what Tim's saying here. After the Charlie Kirk got shot, I think Nick is trying to make alliances with people that aren't cool. So you might, Dave Smith is cool, Tucker Carlson might be cool, I don't know. Not a friend like Alex Jones, though, but an ally. Like the Red Scare podcast girls. I mean, I heard them in a group chat, the Twitter chat, and their fans are asking them sex questions and shit. Anyway, his collab with them starts off pleasant enough. She's showing her stomach. What's all that about? Over overly slutty, am I right?
We're good. Yeah. I think, yeah. Okay.
Are we?
Yeah, we're live.
We're live.
We've got
We're back.
We've got a great show for you tonight. Mr. Nicholas J. Fuentes, welcome to Red Scare.
Hi, yeah, good to be here.
Congratulations on your
what?
generational run.
Thank you.
Nick's been having a generational run.
What does that mean?
It means I'm on a generational run. I'm making things happen. I'm blowing up.
Oh yeah,
He's
your star is
unstoppable.
ascendant.
Yes.
You're becoming a household name. Gotcha.
Mhm.
Yeah.
When I tried to lock you down for this pod a couple months ago,
Yeah.
yeah, you were already ascendant,
Yep.
and yet you still keep climbing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna fully read my questions off of the phone because
I'm gonna do this.
I'm not a Zoomer, and so I don't have the total recall or mental elasticity that you guys have.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a hard time memorizing lines, but I have a question about that.
Okay.
If you want to go first.
Well, I'm such a I'm such a fan, honestly, that I'm my questions initially I was like, oh, he's gonna feel like they're super chat tier. What should I read now?
I actually do have a question about that maybe I'll just start with because
Okay, let's go.
See, they seem very pleasant to start with. So in the pod, they say that they're not Peter Thiel gave them directly, but so Peter Thiel never gave me money directly, and then it's this is a thing, the magazine employs her or something. I don't quite. What about were the early holders of that? So I don't know. I don't know what this means exactly, but they're implying that they were. Oh, damn. Anyway, they're sort of implying that they have a stake in this. Yeah. So here they're denying the Peter Thiel rumours. They hang with Peter Thiel's group, Curtis Yarvin. So they won't let Nick talk, but they're sort of saying we don't do Peter Thiel money in this clip.
Let me see.
Do we have any more questions?
Well, I didn't want to
Oh, so their video was stuffed
for
up.
me, when you accuse us of being Teal assets and stuff,
Yeah, what's going on with that?
we're not.
You get
We're
money
just
from
not-
him?
No.
Never.
Really?
No,
None.
I'm going to be upfront. I've met him
Anna's
twice.
met him. I've never
And
met him.
he's paid for flights and hotels. That's about it. I've never pitched anything to him. I've never taken any money from him. I don't want his money.
Okay.
I
would take his money. if he was gonna give it, but
I would.
he's a smart
Well,
guy. He
well,
knows he
let
doesn't
me-
need to waste his money.
Well, let me put it this way: if I had some kind of value proposition, value add, some project that I wanted funding or investment in, if I wanted to
Make a
movie, open a bar, or something like that, then I would maybe pitch it to him. But I don't really have such goals or ambitions at the present moment, so there's really no point. And I think you find also a lot of these things are a lot more innocent and naive than us skeptical conspirators like to think they are. And people who are incredibly wealthy are also but politically alienated are also very lonely and starved for contact, and they want to meet new people and
You mean Teal?
Yeah, or like anybody, like people, like right wingers love having parties and galas. That's like a thing they be doing. And like I'm also like a natural introvert and malcontent, so I'd rather like not go out or go to a party, but sometimes like you just do.
We have drinking problems.
Yeah.
So socializing gives us a good pretense
but
to partake.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the Teal thing, if I were to psychoanalyze that, I find it to be personally retarded and preposterous, but at the same time, it is very psychologically understandable because people want to seek psychic relief, make themselves feel better, and they want to explain why we've been so popular within our specific niche and why we seem to have this like staying power or lasting appeal.
People, say we're
Teal assets. Yeah, it's very it's like very obvious.
Well, for me, it's like you speak so authoritatively.
Yeah.
And I mean, so many people I knew when the Iran stuff was going on were like, they were watching America First. They knew that you like had the authority and the knowledge and like that you would be able to kind of like contextualize and speak on it in a way that was like legible. But then when I hear you say something that I know factually is not the truth,
it throws everything out.
Then I'm like, what else am I trusting Nick about these?
Yeah, no, that's what Maddie said, and it's like, yeah, like there's a name for it, right? Like if there's a specific fallacy where like
probably
there's like a technical term for it, yeah. But I also get it, like when people...
So you're not letting Nick talk.
Not that people can't make mistakes or make someone trustworthy, just for me.
Yeah.
Know? But where do you get, I guess, the confidence to speak so authoritatively? And how, like, what percentage of stuff that you say would you say you are, like, totally confident, like, sure of?
Well, when I talk about your interaction with Teal, I think I probably wouldn't say that you guys are like being paid by him and he's telling you what to do and say, but you have to admit you are in proximity to Teal. You've met him, and these parties that you hang out with, there was a, I think, Vanity Fair piece about all the parties he's funding.
Was it by James Pogue?
Yeah,
that's maybe
where people started saying they were Teal funded.
But it's not even like you're funded, it's just that, and I would push back, and here's maybe where I disagree. And I don't know if you mean Teal when you say this, when you say, well, they want to socialize, they want to get together. Maybe the people that attend the parties, like yourselves, you want to hang out with like-minded people. I think Teal is, like you said, he's brilliant. And he's extremely powerful and extremely intentional. Like, his guy is the vice president. How did that happen? You know, Vance was a civilian, became a senator, and within 2 years of being a senator, now he's a heartbeat away from the presidency. And that's his boy. And I know there's, you know, he didn't support him in 24.
Well, how sure are you of that?
Well, I mean, he gave him his first job.
He funded the Vance campaign.
You don't have to
right?
The Vance campaign and his venture capital firm, and gave him his first job. And there's a million things. And I think that Teal is making a big political push. He wants power, like oligarchs and billionaires do.
He's talked about this himself, right? And how he's pulling back from certain investments and throwing
Scare podcast.
like our podcast. That's why we're having Nick Fuentes.
Those bitches fell off.
They hit the wall. Here's your empty egg carton, you stupid bitch. No, yeah, I get that, but I think, like I said this before on this show, that like for him, so I think investments are also like a volume game. He's just like throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks. And even if he is like funding, even if he has kind of behind the scenes political ambitions, is funding JD Vance, got his boy into office, got him like a lick away from the presidency. What's wrong with that? You know, at the end of the day, that's what I was trying to get at. Like, JD Vance, Charlie Kirk, not perfect, not beyond criticism, even beyond the grave. You can whatever. But I would much rather have their vision for America than Zohran Mamdani or Hassan Piker's vision for America. I don't even want those guys in America.
Well, I mean, whether Vance is good or bad, or Teal is good or bad, is separate. When I say you guys are involved, that's what I mean. Is sort of like, and this is sort of how influence works. It's more subtle, actually. Like when people say the media is controlled.
Yeah.
I don't think the newscasters get a script, but I think that everyone kind of knows where to push and pull, and they all hang out in the same social circles, and they kind of know, like Polymarket. Polymarket sponsors everybody.
Yes.
And I know for a fact.
Sure. That's a betting thing?
Yeah, and that's Teal owned. I know for a fact that Polymarket people, as it's happened to friends of mine, they will call and say, well, don't attack Joe Kent. Maybe take it easy on Vance. Maybe take it easy on this one.
Don't
And it's not a
Joe
get-
Kent. He's
we
so
get-
sexy.
He's good looking, but
Yes, he's
but
really
the other
good
one's
looking.
hotter. The
We get-
Melissa, whatever her name is in Washington State,
Who?
the Democrat who beat Joe Kent.
Oh,
Whatever. I'll Google her.
we really
Um,
get no money from any.
Yeah, I don't think you do.
That's.
But
I
you
mean,
kind of
we could.
You know what the
What if
even
we did?
worse, more unflattering reality is that we're
Nice.
like unwitting pawns of Peter Thiel. And he's like
that we do it
puppet
for
master,
free.
Yeah,
Well,
we don't even need to get.
Yeah,
paid.
your unpaid shill's doing it for
what's-
free.
what's your-
No, but I don't even know what his
But
like,
what's
aims
your
are.
what's your
enough
beef
to-
I'm
with Peter
kidding.
Thiel?
I don't necessarily have a beef with him in particular, but I would say that him and Vance are very close to the national security state,
Mhm.
and I'm inherently
Well, Palantir, right?
right, and even PayPal for that matter, also because Thiel gets his money from PayPal. And where does PayPal come from? It comes from the cryptography department at Stanford. And Stanford is all spooks. It's all CIA.
Okay.
Whoever's working in cryptography, they're, so I think like all
Wait,
these.
but okay, how sure are you that everyone at Stanford is CIA?
I'm not sure that, the Israeli guy, the Jewish guy that runs the department is CIA, but like the CIA recruits at these schools, at Yale, at Stanford, they're very open about this. The professors are
because
CIA.
they want, high caliber.
Yeah, and I'm not
high
necessarily
performing.
knocking that, but that's what it is. And that's the case with all of them. Oracle, Google,
Sure.
PayPal, and then Thiel starts Palantir, which is like a CIA spinoff.
Sure.
And so I just don't.
You're worried ultimately about like outsized government control.
No, it's just I think that the system needs to be overturned.
How's
these-
that? In what way?
Which system?
This like money system that we have, where we have super PACs funded by billionaires.
Mhm.
Buying the media, getting pawns elected that are lying to the people. I think that we need.
That's very sweet. That's very idealistic.
You're sounding like Hassan Piker now.
I know when I say
I'm
that.
like,
Yeah,
what do you mean?
Okay,
I'm sounding like Spengler actually, but
If
Wow.
tomorrow some like genie magically appeared, some Peter Thiel funded genie, and was like,
So they are defending Peter Thiel a fair bit, don't you think? Here's an infographic of all the little pocket universes of the podcasters. So I think this is Nick Fuentes. It's not spelt right, but let's just say that's Nick. So he's just done Tucker Carlson, and not friends like Alex Jones, but ally. And he's beaten Ben Shapiro. Now Joe Rogan can't be friends, but maybe do the pod. Debated Dinesh D'Souza and won. Dave Rubin, according to Tucker, beaten him. And so, yeah, some of these people can be friends. Where's Tim Dillon? Because I think Tim Dillon's cool. I don't see him there. But Russell Brand, and it was a very nice collab with Russell Brand. And but not Joe Rogan, even though he's the big boy. Maybe go on the podcast, but it probably won't be friendly. Nick's a political guest, and 42% of Joe Rogan's political guests are Jews. You know, he's a big podcast. Maybe go on it for, raise your profile, but can't be friends with Alex Jones. Also, Joe Rogan's weird. I mean, the tattoos. I mean, is that the demon Ishtar or Isis? And he's got garden themed, which is usually satanic sort of stuff. And Joe Rogan goes to Peter Thiel parties. Tim Dillon won't go to a Peter Thiel party. And let's play that clip. Also talking about Jewish power here.
Every week.
Well, good.
Well, it's how you keep everything green, Tim.
Listen, my concern is like my own country, and any country that wants to offer me a large sum of money to go and perform, I will do it.
Coming soon to the Congo.
Yeah, I will absolutely do South Sudan, Darfur, Angola, all of it. I'll absolutely do South Sudan. Tim Dillon live in South Sudan. Absolutely will do it.
Yo.
Wouldn't you go to Saudi Arabia?
I'm busy.
Yeah,
I have
but
to stay here.
you're
I have
doing
a lot to do.
You're also doing well enough.
2 Israeli startup entrepreneurs played roles in the rise of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She pulled out of an event commemorating Rabin. Some concluded that AOC doesn't like Israelis, but 2 were instrumental in the lawmaker's early career.
Oh,
That's where it gets weird. They find you when you're young.
they find you when you're making mojitos.
They find you when you're young and promising, like JD.
Well, that's the thing. JD's going to have to, if he wants to be the president, he's going to have to say, Peter Thiel, I'm
is
not.
the Antichrist.
He's going to have to say, Peter Thiel is Satan, and here's why that's good. JD has to get out there and go, wouldn't you rather know who Satan is and be friends with him and have dinner with him than have it be like, who's Satan?
Right.
So he's got to get out there and say, I happen to be friends with Satan. And I want that to be
misunderstood.
I want it to be destigmatized.
Right. If Satan could go on the Nelk Boys, maybe they could straighten it out.
That's right. Peter Thiel on the Nelk Boys, when they go, what do you think about fast food? And he goes, I take 1 pill every day to survive. And it gives me all of my nutrients.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think Peter Thiel eats food like a person. I think it's like he has some type of,
What? What do you think?
I think a lot of these tech people, they don't like food. They're not food people, a lot of these tech people. I went to a few of these tech things in Austin. It's not, the food's never the thing. They're not like food people. They're not like, ooh, let me eat food. Like wasps are not either. Like real old school, like waspy.
Didn't you get invited to have lunch or something, dinner with Peter?
Yes, I said no.
Did you?
I said no. I'm a little wary of that circle of people.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying there's anything inherently evil about them, because obviously there's people in there. I don't know that I want to go to a dinner with someone who's going to talk endlessly about the Antichrist.
But yet you'll go to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, of course.
And perform.
Of course.
I've been to Peter's house twice.
Yeah.
I went once with dinner with Eric Weinstein. I forget who else. And then the second time he brought me in because they were going to have lunch with Eric Von Daniken.
Oh, the guy, the Chariots of the Gods.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, yeah. I'm in. And I know so much about that.
Yeah.
So I was asking him all these questions.
I'm sure he's a very nice guy. Like Peter Thiel. People
He's a
that
nice
know
guy.
him
I've
go,
had
he's
him
a
on the
nice guy.
podcast.
He's a smart guy.
Yeah.
I get invited to a lot of dinners and a lot of things. And what I try to do is
Eric Weinstein, I think, was mentioned on the Tucker thing, and he gives the finger to the Arch of Titus because, they hate that Rome took the books from the temple And, there may be books written by King Solomon on sheets of gold. Who knows? At the Vatican. But yeah, Eric Weinstein he went with Peter Thiel. Eric Weinstein, Jew. I just thought I'd say that.
Say to myself, I need to be able to criticize people and make fun of them.
Right.
So it felt like really weird to go to this guy's house and then shit on him the next day.
Do you think that's part of the strategy of inviting you to go to places?
Yes.
Yeah.
Most likely.
So
but it doesn't work because I can't shut my mouth. I can't shut my mouth. So, I mean, I've said things, people in my own family get mad at me because I can't shut my mouth.
Yeah.
So it's certainly not going to work. If you're a billionaire invites me somewhere, it's not going to work. So then you're probably going to have to kill me. And I'd rather you not.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
I see what you're saying. Well, you can't get too close.
I don't want to get super close, only because, to me, it's like I like my show because I can talk shit and say things, and I just can't. I don't want to censor myself, and I don't know how to censor myself, and I wouldn't be fun or good at what I do if I censored myself. And I think that, a lot of people out there in the world are under the impression that everyone has an agenda. And that's completely understandable. And I think what they try to do is sometimes launder that agenda through some cultural space, however they want to do it,
Yeah.
And that's happened forever. It's not new. It's not unique because there's an internet.
So Red Scares podcast, they'll go to the Peter Thiel parties, but Tim Dillon, and he doesn't want to be in their circle doing their agenda unwillingly, like Nick said to the girls. Here, Tim Dillon explains the control of TikTok by Larry Ellison, the purchase of Paramount by his son David Ellison, and the Free Press, and Barry Weiss, the Israeli spy, becoming a CBS executive. He's dressed like a Jew.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the CBS Evening News. My name is Tim Dillon. I want to first start by thanking Barry Weiss for giving me the opportunity to sit here with you at the iconic CBS News desk and deliver the news. CBS is a great American institution. I also want to speak directly to people who feel that there may be some changes coming at CBS or that the network isn't going to be recognizable. Nothing could be further from the truth. Here at CBS, we have a journalistic commitment to integrity, giving you both sides or all sides of every issue that matters to you. Barry is committed to delivering fearless, unbiased journalism, and she is incredibly aware of what a shill you people think she is, but she is not. She is not a shill, and nor am I. I want to thank the Ellison family. I want to thank Paramount. I want to thank everybody who invested severely in me and Barry and the whole team at the Free Press. The investments made were intense. They were severe. And I want to thank everyone who took hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars, to make sure that you are getting fearless, unbiased news coverage from a team that's only agenda is the truth. Our only agenda is the truth.
So I personally don't think the Red Scare girls are cool. Like no invitations to AFPAC. Here they are hanging out with Barry Weiss at the election night free press event.
Now,
These are the ladies everyone's been clamoring for. Let's be
apparently
real.
this is what's happening in the chat.
This is why you're here.
Is this what's happening in the chat?
This is what's happening in the chat.
That's what I hear. And again, I'm only hearing things. Is Annika Chayan and
So the Red Scare Girls
Nekrasova,
mixing with Barry Weiss
are here.
I'm expecting to be wearing their
Joe
MAGA
and
hats,
Joe
but I
Sarah,
don't see them on.
who I haven't told me.
Hello, ladies.
Oh
my God, with Jonas Sarah.
Yes.
This is an incredible mashup.
I've been telling people, Joe.
Jonas Sarah, a Jew, I believe.
This is quite incredible. Joe, do you need a drink?
Did you bring your iPad?
You don't need one? Okay.
I'm supposed to share my.
Okay.
No. You guys, you're okay. You're okay. When Joe talks, he'll grab the mic from one of you.
Sure.
Ladies.
Hi.
Joe reminds me
you
of
look
Richard
great.
Kind, by the way.
The dreams were not fulfilled. Donald Trump did not come on the podcast, but life is long and he may be the next president, and perhaps you'll see that wish fulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
You guys were at Madison Square Garden for the rally.
We were.
Maybe let's start there. Like, how were
the Nazi rally?
the
did.
Washington Post editorial board did not endorse a candidate, but the
No, but
ladies at Red
Israel
Scare
rally.
did. So how was the Trump rally?
We went to the most Jewish rally ever.
It was a blast.
Choose Trump. It was so much fun. As I said on the podcast, I think like all these people are melting down about how Trump is uniquely hateful and divisive, and what they're really threatened by is that he's a unifying force with a positive message and mass appeal.
Wow, Jonas Sarah is having a heart attack. Okay.
Okay, take the mic.
He is a king.
A unifying force with a positive message. I wanted to show you this though, Barry, before we get going. In 2016, that's when the New York Times introduced the needle.
Yes.
Remember the needle?
Of course I do.
And we were all all of us liberals were all so excited because it started over here in Hillary land.
No, it literally.
Most Jews are liberal. Here the Red Skills are doing a thing with Curtis Yarvin. They're talking a little bit about groypers here. This guy, he talks about Judeo-Bolsheviks in the 1920s being really bad, and then says there's no international Jewry at the time of Hitler. Yet his parents were Jewish communists in New York. Let's just listen for 1 second. But here they are with Curtis Yarvin, very tight with Peter Thiel. Very tight with Peter Thiel. Just a couple of seconds of this.
There was like a change in what a groyper was. The original groyper was something very subtle and refined. The early groypers.
You mean the frog?
Yeah, it's the frog. But the frog, if you go back, if like the great Twitter poster was that _groyper, you did the bug of the day, and you had these like bug of the day groypers, which was like a much more sensitive, capable Pepe. And the word was just hijacked for these gross political purposes by Nazis.
Okay, so when the New Yorker prints phrases like race science and human biodiversity, obviously it's like
he just called us groypers Nazis.
Whatever they think is like
fuck this guy
or cool is no longer, but they're essentially like.
Let's talk about world Jewish power. They're the mega universe. The Judo-Bolsheviks are the establishment. First, let's look at Trump making Antifa a terrorist organization who are an arm of world Jewish power. The Jewish communists, the Frankfurt School, critical theory and all that.
Saturday evening, but that seems to be our schedule. It should be clear to all Americans that we have a very serious left-wing terror threat in our country. radicals associated with the domestic terror group Antifa that you've heard a lot about lately, and I've heard a lot about them for 10 years. And other far-left extremists have been carrying out a campaign of violence against ICE agents and other officials charged with enforcing federal law. In Chicago, anarchists have surveilled at least 4 local ICE facilities and posted diagrams of the buildings online, meaning nothing but bad, accompanied by photos of specific ICE agents that they're targeting, one in particular who's a top person and a great patriot. In July, approximately a dozen Antifa-aligned militants stormed the ICE facility in Texas and then lured officers out of the building before firing dozens of rounds at police. They were crazy, frankly, shooting one Texas officer in the neck. And in Portland, Oregon, Antifa thugs have repeatedly attacked our officers and laid siege to federal property in an attempt to violently stop the execution of federal law. Everything we're doing is very lawful. What they're doing is not lawful. And what the governor and the mayor of, as an example, you could say of Portland, and you can say certainly of Chicago, is not lawful what they're doing. They have to be very careful. In addition, 2 weeks ago, a radical left terrorist in Dallas conducted a sniper attack on a local ICE facility, killing 2 people and leaving behind a note that read, "Hopefully this will give ICE agents some real terror." That's bad. This attack came the very same month that Charlie Kirk was assassinated by a far-left extremist who inscribed the words, "Hey fascist, catch," meaning catch the bullet, onto the bullet shelf itself. The epidemic of left-wing violence and Antifa-inspired terror has been escalating for nearly a decade. At universities, Antifa has organized riotous mobs to attack campus speakers. I see it all the time. And these are agitators, anarchists, and they're paid. And you'll find that out. You'll be finding it out very soon. You should see what we have on these people. These are bad people. These are people that want to destroy our country. We're not going to let it happen. They've used armed gangs to assault local police in cities nationwide, and they've attacked journalists reporting on their crimes. So the journalists that report on their crimes, don't worry, you're very safe. I hope that's not going to turn you around, but they have been very threatening to people, but we're going to be very threatening to them, far more threatening to them than they ever were with us, and that includes the people that fund them. Probably some of the people I know, some of the people I dine with, but if they do, they're in deep trouble. So we're going to be looking very strongly at the people that are funding these operations. When you see the signs, and they're all made out of beautiful paper, beautiful, nice, stiff, very expensive paper, with beautiful wood handles, all the same color. They come from very expensive printing machines. These are not people that write out their signs in a basement that believe in something. These are paid anarchists. At least 3 of these courageous journalists have personally been victims of Antifa attacks. Andy No has been.
So, yeah, it's Jewish people that pay for all this. This Jewish mindset, I came across this, called Tikkun Olam, is part of Antifa. Pro-social justice, gay marriage, call it a civil rights. Here's Dr. Jones talking about it.
Of the one that was replaced.
Right.
So, okay, now we understand. This is to the point here now. The Jews not only can be saved by following their obsolete covenant, but Professor George goes on to say they have a mission. The Jews have a mission. Well, I think I agree with him. I think I'm not sure we're talking about the same thing, but I think that the Jews do have a mission, and I've talked about their mission before. If you want the definitive message here, there's a statement. It's a YouTube video. You can find it. It's called "Why Jews Are Right About Everything or Why They're Always Right," and it goes down the line. What's the mission called? They have a mission. Their term for the mission is Tikkun Olam.
Yeah.
Tikkun olam means healing the world, okay? But what they mean in actuality, as this video makes clear, is it's a total destruction of the moral law, especially in the public sphere. And one of the nails in the coffin of the moral law was abortion. Okay, and after Roe versus Wade got overturned, now there's one reason why Roe versus Wade got overturned, because Amy Coney Barrett replaced Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Yeah. The Catholic replaced the Jew on the Supreme Court, and that created a new majority, and it was Roe versus Wade was overturned. And in the aftermath of that, 400 Jewish organizations announced abortion is a fundamental Jewish value.
Right.
That's their mission. But it's not only their mission. Okay, it's not the only part of their mission. Before that happened, there was gay marriage.
Yeah.
And fortunately, a lady by the name of Amy Dean wrote an article on gay marriage in Tikkun magazine, obviously playing Tikkun Olam, in which she said basically, if it weren't for the Jews, we would not have gay marriage. And then she goes into the whole whole situation at that time, okay, in which she says there was enormous opposition to gay marriage. And we're talking about 2009, and she says that we had to overcome that. We, meaning the Jews, had to overcome it. And it turns out that the main opposition that she had in mind was the Manhattan Declaration, which was the brainchild of Robbie George.
Yeah.
Now, we're going back to your era with Robbie George, maybe about that.
Abortion, a Jewish value? That's probably explains Big Pharma, Jews, Jewish doctors, when they put baby parts in a blender to get the amino acids from the nucleus and the organelles of cells, to put in a CRISPR to rearrange the amino acids into new mRNA code and inject it into billions of people, they have no problems with that. E. Michael Jones goes on.
March 10th, 2014, shortly after the Supreme Court handed down its Obergefell decision legalizing homosexual marriage, Amy Dean wrote, again, that article in Tikkun magazine, in a few short years, same-sex marriage went from being an untouchable political hot potato to a broadly accepted civil right in 18 states in the District of Columbia. Jews and their social justice organizations helped make that happen. When I say that, if I said that to Robbie, would he call me an anti-Semite? He might. Help make that happen. In fact, this magazine, Tikkun magazine, was a prophetic voice of marriage equality, supporting same-sex marriage unions in the early 1990s and helping to lay the groundwork for the current wave of victories. Close quote. The Jews succeeded in legalizing gay marriage in spite of the fact that broad swaths of the Christian community were hostile to same-sex marriage. Getting more specific, Amy Dean cites Robbie George's Manhattan Declaration as the main group that was hostile to same-sex marriage. So let's put these pieces together here. Yeah. Here's Robbie George basically.
Jews. The boys on Rhetorical Defective cover Tikkun well. This bit, God doesn't need your help.
Helping, but you're not helping. You're making everything. Could you just stop trying to fix the fucking world?
Well, can we agree that this is where the path to hell is paved with good intentions comes from?
I mean, what other historical precedent do we have for that? For like, it had to have been in reference to this. How else do you come up with that long ago? Yeah. I mean, I'm just. Oh my god.
Under God's kingship, it will be the Messianic era. The world will be healed.
Yeah, the Messianic era. Yeah. And how is that brought about? Let me guess. Let me guess. I'm getting like a brainwave here, right? You just try and make as many people get close to God, and it just comes about on its own. Am I getting that right? Or is it like something that must be brought about through human action?
He's just innocently saying that maybe it's a 2,000-year-old tradition of secularists.
Okay. 700 years later, the great rabbi and commentator Maimonides picks up the phrase and says, when you gain wisdom by studying Torah, develop character by doing acts of kindness, and when you observe the mitzvot, the commandments, you bring tikkun olam. You bring God closer to the Jewish people.
Pause it.
If you're keeping track...
Pause it. Now, I'm an atheist. I don't know anything about this. That sounds perverted to me. That we're bringing God to us. We're not moving to God.
Yeah.
We are bringing God to us is fucking satanic, dude. Holy shit.
And when we bring him close enough, the Messiah will return. And then after he returns, like Maimonides,
they're calling God over like a dog. Hey, God, come on. God, come here. Come close to us. God, come on. Come on, God, come on.
So, see, Key Buckley in the chat knows his shit, right? Maimonides, I think, was the one who promulgated like the Noahide laws into sort of common circulation. And one of those Noahide laws is the prohibition on idolatry. And the strong interpretation under Maimonides, I can never fucking pronounce the guy's name, right? I got like a retard, is that basically all the Christians would have to be killed because they like worship the cross. Supposedly, and the cross is an idol. So, all the Orthodox Christians, all the Catholics, they have to either give up Christianity and, presumably convert to some kind of gay race Protestantism, or you're going to get the chop. Just saying.
So far, Tikkun Olam is about Jewish theology and the Jewish community. The rest of the world, it should take care of its own problems. The Kabbalists, Jewish mystics,
then why do we have to deal with the consequences of you guys trying to fix the fucking world? Can't you just fix your own?
Now
they go on further here and talk about historical Jews and their ways. And again, Curtis Yarvin, this was before Hitler.
Or controlled opposition. Nick Fuentes lies and misleads. I agree with that 100%. Not about the moose. What's the lie he's told about them, dude? Okay, he might be misleading and he might lie about things, sure, and he might be contradictory. Not on this topic, though.
But this is the thing, right? If Nick Fuentes said what was in this video, then that would be bad. But these guys saying it in this video is perfectly fine. Name the dynamic for 10 US Federal Reserve notes.
Thank you, mate.
Crikey, thank you so much, mate. They're attempting to manipulate the material world to bring the Messiah. It won't be Christ, but probably the Antichrist, probably be an AI system, and we will all live in a technocratic digital gulag. Yeah, exactly.
Not an ounce of fat on that comment.
Yeah.
That's how I felt when I came to this realization.
Okay, we've got a couple more minutes of this.
Governments are given secondary roles whose purpose is to protect Tikkun Olam. They keep us from drifting into moral turpitude, as the kids say, but in and of themselves, not so much Tikkun Olam. Tikkun Olam now becomes a point of concern within the greater Jewish community. There are those today who worry that the progressive approach to Tikkun Olam is assimilationist. Doing good deeds is fantastic, they say, but if it replaces Jewish observance and Torah study, then it is devoid of Judaism.
When you say doing good things for people, are you including the whites in this? Because I'm not seeing said a hell of a lot of stuff about the white Christians in this, right? Like, you sort of look back, it's, we help the blacks, we help the gays, we help the commies, we help like the trans. Not so much the white Christian. Why do you think
Well,
that is?
you know how the left has like a reputation for eating themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Communists always, communists are destroying their own thing. On screen it says liberal Jews are destroying their own religion. It's like, huh. Yeah, you know what? We're gonna take the religion and we're just gonna do it just a different. It's unlimited versions. They get unlimited chances. They get to try something new and different over and over and over and over again. Destroy, rebuild, destroy, rebuild, destroy, rebuild. The right don't get to try shit, dude. And that's what I'm advocating for. I gotta see, in my lifetime, the right be given a shot, okay?
This reminds me of the Berlin Enlightenment. That's like a whole other thing. Name the dynamic again for another $10.
Jesus
Christ! Their God is Ein Sof, a never-ending nothingness where humanity is nothing more than an irritant that was expelled. Humans created not out of love but an accident. That's their cosmology. That is straight up Gnosticism.
Wow.
That is straight up Gnosticism, bro. That is literally the Valentinian, a slight variation on the Valentinian Gnostic creation myth, right? That how does it go? So Sophia is like trying to create like a pocket universe, and it messes up, and she has twins. And one of the pocket universes, one of her offspring gets trapped in this pocket universe by himself and goes mad and thinks that he is all creation, and that's basically the demiurge, and that's why Earth sucks. Basically, I mean, it's Gnostic as hell.
Progressives counter that for those Jews who don't vibe to the ritual aspects of Judaism, Tikkun Olam gives them a way to engage and take pride in their heritage. And more to the point, Tikkun Olam is a central tenet of Judaism. It's almost the point of everything we do. Today, Tikkun Olam is catching on like wildfire. In Israel, there are over 42,000 registered not-for-profit charitable organizations.
Huh, really?
There's 42,000 in just Israel. How many do you think are in the United States? If there's 42,000 in Israel, and if the first moose came here in 1650, and the ADL's parent company, International Parent Company, was made in 1843, how and the left, the communists, socialists, the progressives, have so much access in coordination with our federal government to so many NGOs. How many do you think are in the United States if there's 42,000 in Israel?
Almost like a parallel government,
Yeah. There has to be 500,000 in the United States if there's 42,000 in Israel. There might be a million.
Does anyone even know? Right, like there's an insane number just in Ireland. The Irish government got infiltrated and they decided like, oh, we're going to basically make ourselves like the NGO headquarters of Europe. And of course, everything's been going great in Ireland, as I'm sure everyone is aware.
2,000, many of them doing Tikkun Olam in their own way. And in the US, that number is many times higher. Tikkun Olam today is, in fact, a multi-billion-dollar charitable industry.
Oh, well, of course it is.
This is an advertisement. This is like timeshare right now. It's like this is the real moves are listening right now, going billions, huh? Oh, I see what you're saying. I'm picking up what you're putting down. And the Gentiles are listening to like social justice, progressivism, and then the moves are just like billions, you say. Thousands of NGOs, huh? Okay.
You get to help other people and make a killing while doing it. Sounds like a great idea to me, Audie.
So in the United States, between 1.5 to 2 million NGOs and nonprofits in total. So I would want to know what percentage, but that's the thing. The infiltration, you couldn't even track it. Because it's just Tikkun Olam, dude. It's Tikkun Olam. What a wonderful phrase. It means no worries if you have a schnoz.
Dude.
In the U.S., there are the big guns of Tikkun Olam. They take care of Jewish communities in danger.
Big guns.
Promote human rights. They fight on behalf of immigrants.
Oh, did you see that? Right, Hyas?
What?
Right? So, Alexander Mayorkas, who was the guy that basically opened the U.S. borders, and was, he was basically immigration secretary under the Biden government. He used to be the head of Hyas, the Hebrew Immigration Aid. This guy. You know, it's fine, right? Like, you know, don't read too much into it or anything, bros. Fucking hell. What a mask off this is. Jeez, man.
Human rights. They fight on behalf of immigrants. Others mobilize Jewish communities to take action and champion the franchise. Others still work to assuage hunger. This one food bank provided 2 million meals last year. In Israel, charitable organizations feed and
25% of the world's billionaires are Jewish. 35 of the top 100 billionaires in the USA are Jewish. And like only 7% or something of Jews in America vote Republican. The rest, they vote Democrat. Here, Dave Smith with Nick saying civil rights laws have progressed and changed a lot. Dave Smith can be in Nick's friendship circle.
Don't want their opponents to die. They don't want to murder each other. I said, I'm Christian. I don't believe in murder. I don't believe in revenge. I said, and not all people are Christian, and not all Christians believe that, actually. And so I think moving forward, there needs to be an uncomfortable coming together of people that have grievances, legitimate grievances with each other, but who both want harmony, want to live in peace, don't want bloodshed. Leaders from both sides to come together, but I'm not optimistic. I think that the most cynical, calculating people rise to the top. They will incite and exploit the divisions and try to vie for control. And I think, you know, conflict is more likely than peace at this point.
Yeah, it's very hard. It's very hard to keep those because it's so easy. It's so easy, you know. And by the way, just because you mentioned it, and I did say this publicly a bunch, but I really did appreciate your episode after Charlie Kirk. Thank you for that. You know, so I was on Piers Morgan debating that Brandon Tatum, the cop guy, and that was what he was. He said I was a terrible person for giving you credit for that show, and then his whole argument was like, he's like Nick is disingenuous. Like he doesn't mean that, and so it's just like. You know, whatever. I didn't even like spend that much time on it and the thing, but it was just funny. It was like in my head, I was like, wait, so in your worldview, like Nick is this disingenuous, he's the leading neo-Nazi. It's like, okay, so the leading neo-Nazi is calling for peace? Like, is that not, could we at least acknowledge that's preferable to like the other outcome? But on the broader topic, you know, I agree with your assessment, unfortunately, that it's kind of less likely that this has a positive outcome than a negative one. But I do think that, you know, I look at it like I was born in 1983, which, you know, to me does not feel like that long ago. I still feel like you, man, except my knees. My knees really don't feel like you. But, you know, so I was born in 1983. This is 20 years, less than 20 years, 19 years after the Civil Rights Act, right? So it's like, it kind of does make sense in a way that perhaps there was like a different outlook only 20 years after the Civil Rights, and now it's 2025. Like, this is actually quite a bit further. This is 60 years after the Civil Rights Act now. And I do think that, like, in order to move forward, the only way to do this would be to declare, man, I hate saying this word, but actual equality of some sense. Like, it would actually have to be like, look, nobody's getting discriminated against under the law. Either nobody has a right to have their special, their group interest, their group idea, or everybody gets to do it. You know, now, like I think the way it worked, like when I was a kid, it's almost like there was a gentleman's agreement, like, and there was a gentleman's agreement where it was kind of like, look, we know like bad things happened to minorities in this country in the past, and so we're not going to say, you know, like some of the things that we obviously know, and we'll even allow you to say a little bit about us. And that was kind of the gentleman's agreement. And at a certain point, it was like the progressive left particularly just broke this gentleman's agreement. And they were like, well, no, we're going to say everything that we want to say. And then eventually I feel like, you know, the young white men were kind of like, okay, well then screw it. So then there's no gentleman's agreement anymore. Right. And, you know, I remember, I remember, I'm sure you saw this one, Scott Adams had that comment a couple years ago, I guess it was, that went super viral. Scott Adams, who's unfortunately is, I think, very sick these days. Me and him have argued a few times on Twitter, but I was sad to hear that. But he said the thing, he was like, my advice to white people is just don't be around blacks. Like, just move away, move to a different neighborhood where they're not there. And I remember first hearing that and going like, yo, that's fucked up, dude. And then like the second after I went, oh, that's fucked up, I went, this is exactly what I did. That is exactly what I did. You know, I mean, I remember me and my wife were looking at the town that we ultimately moved to, and it's just like there was like a grading thing, you know, when you look at towns and they're like schools A+, like this A+, this A+, crime A+, this A+, and they go diversity D-. And I was like, cool. Like, I mean, and it's not like I don't care, but it's like those other things are important to me, and they do seem to be attached to this one, and so it's like, I think in order to kind of put this fire out, there would have to be some type of system where it's like, look, like white people are they can't be discriminated against under the law, and they can't be discriminated against in other ways either, and they have to also be allowed to say what they want to say. And to your point, there are legitimate grievances that black people have. I mean, there is no, and this is my own bias, I guess, but much of it doing with government policy is almost everything that's handed to them from the state is absolute garbage, and their schools are really bad, and there's like legitimate grievances there. I also think like welfare has done enormous damage, but you kind of can't just blame all your problems on white people and racism. I mean, that actually is not really what's holding black people back in this country, and I think we have to be honest about that if we don't want things to go in an ugly direction.
Yeah, well, and you know, I would say that a lot of what occurred under wokeism, I don't think it was all bad necessarily, because I think that, you know, as I get older, I do recognize it's sort of funny. Like when I was a teenager, we were getting called racist for everything. Everything was racist, everything.
What Dave said is right. It's interesting because all the shows of the 70s were liberal, like the Brady Bunch, like the Goodies here. Back then it was okay. Like I watched the Goodies and it was okay. I watched this interview with them in later life, and they still think liberal values they were pushing was good for the world, but it wasn't. They're old boomers that can't see that. So you watch this interview and they still think they're the goodies, the good guys. Some more E. Michael Jones, Dr. E. Michael Jones. Other people can't be in Nick's galaxy. Dinesh D'Souza. E. Michael Jones lays it out.
Rhythm. And if you see more, like the guy who is now is the spokesman, anointed by X, Twitter, is Dinesh D'Souza. Dinesh D'Souza came out of nowhere. I go way back with Dinesh D'Souza. He was, I think he was associated with Crisis Magazine for a while, which was a front for neoconservative Bradley Foundation money. He gave up the Catholic faith to become president of King's College, divorced his wife, and then ended up in prison for some type of financial malfeasance for the Republican Party. Why is this man a spokesman? Because the algorithm is promoting him. Because there is a vacuum now with Charlie Kirk's death, and everybody's rushing in to pick up the bloody microphone. Glenn Beck, maybe you saw that. Glenn Beck tried to pick up the bloody microphone, and a bunch of a group of young people, and the response is, are you America first or Israel first? It's not working. It doesn't work. We are entering the Fourth Republic. You can't drag obsolete categories from the past into the Fourth Republic. Obsolete categories like, Christian or Judeo-Christian values. Some sense that we Christians and Protestants will work together in this country. I did that. I did that 30 years ago. I was working with Pat Robertson and his group down at Virginia Beach. Went nowhere. because Pat Robertson simply wasn't honest about the hidden grammar of his operation, which was Zionism. He was part of that crowd. And so the whole thing about abortion and that type of thing, it all fizzled, never went anywhere. And it's obsolete now anyway, because there are no figures like that anymore. We've moved on to something else. And it's time to tell these people politely, look, we're not going to let you pick up the bloody microphone. Nobody's listening to you. It's over. We're entering a new world, and I want to be there. I want to be receptive to the Spirit of God as we enter this new world, because Jesus Christ told us to read the signs of the times, which is precisely what these people are not doing.
I would agree with that. And it's funny you mentioned the thing going on with picking up the bloody microphone. I think right after Larry Ellison bought TikTok, almost to the day, the algorithm on Twitter changed radically. And next thing you know, I'm getting, and everyone else is noticing, Zionist promoting posts in the timeline, even if you don't follow that kind of thing. And it was so obviously geared towards pushing this. So they're definitely looking for a Kirk successor, but I don't know that it's anybody that we want. But anyway, thanks.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you.
Are the Jews' hearts hardened like the Pharaoh's heart was?
The Summa Contra Gentilis and the treatise on being. The treatise on being, that existence calls forth essence into being. That's the heart of my book, The Dangers of Beauty, and it also is the heart of my book, the philosophical foundation of my book, Walking with a Bible and a Gun. So I'm a Thomist. You could call me a Thomist, but I'm a historical Thomist. I'm not an ahistorical Thomist.
Okay, cool. I totally agree with you on Taylor Marshall too. It seems like it was like a month ago where he started talking about Israel too, when he saw that you can make money off it.
Right. You can look. These are another example of what I'm talking about. You cannot not talk about Israel, no matter what Tucker Carlson says. You know, you can flog the sea with chains, Tucker, but you cannot not talk about Israel now, and you cannot not talk about the Jewish question. It is the fundamental question of our age. And I've already defined it. Is there a universal natural law that tells all men what is moral and immoral? Or is there a group of people that doesn't have to follow that at all, that can defy God, defy the law, the natural law that God has written on the human heart, including the heart of every Jew? That's the fundamental conflict of our age, and you can chicken out, you can bullshit everybody, you can go for the money, but the train will leave the station without you.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
We all love E. Michael Jones. Like I've got some of his books. Let's see. There's one of his books. You probably can't see it, but I've got two of his books. But he thinks Jews are Khazarians. But I think they come from Moses, like they say. And I think Akhenaten, and they say, they say Akhenaten is Moses, and they say Akhenaten has Abraham's blood in him. It's not DNA if you don't follow Jesus. Your father, if you don't follow Jesus, it's your choice. Abraham will disown you, and your new father will be Satan. So when they say they come from Moses, I think they're right when they say that.
And it didn't help the people who were driven out either. But, you can't replicate the past.
Next question here from Rumble. Pollett's Mind asks, in America today, over 20% of the people say they have no religion at all. Is it time to consider this when talking about the Protestant-Jew cultural divide?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
I've said many times, what's a white boy is someone who doesn't have an identity. A white boy is a Protestant, doesn't go to church anymore. The other thing you could talk about is the rise of pseudo identity groups you can buy. I did a long article in Culture Wars about Harley Davidson. That's an identity group, and how that came into being, and so you can buy an identity if you buy this very expensive motorcycle. So there will be a vacuum with the dissolution of Protestantism, and it will be filled by various pseudo identities because, as I said, and Jason Whitlock repeated it, your identity in America is based on your religion. That's the basis of ethnic identity. If you don't have a religion, you don't have an identity. And nature abhors a vacuum, so you'll be likely to become a white boy or buy a Harley or something like that. Wear sports clothing, identify as an Eagles fan. All of these are pseudo-ethnic identities created to fill that vacuum.
Next question here from Christians Praying. Can Jews be a real race because they don't have common DNA and majority can't be traced to Abraham?
It depends on what you mean by a real race. Okay, race generally means DNA. Okay, so what this would mean then, are Jews Semites? No, they're not. Okay, they're a Turkic race. So there's a whole group. Zionism is predicated. One of the pillars of Israel is that these people that are in Israel now, you can trace them all the way back to Moses. They have the same DNA that Moses had. It's not true. That's not the case. So if by race you mean DNA, no, not going to work. They're a Turkic group, and most of them came from the Pale of the Settlement, which was where they were in Poland or Polish citizens or Russian citizens or something like that. If by that you mean ethnic group, the answer is yes, because ethnic identity is based on religion in the United States of America.
Let's see. Next question from Jameser.
Watch any YouTube video on Akhenaten, and his story sounds a lot like Moses. And if you sort of look at him, let's see. Yeah. If you look at him, he looks like a Nephilim. So, I don't know what his descendant is, but probably Aziel, the one that brought gold and silver and precious metal knowledge and gemstone knowledge, checks out that he would be Moses. Now, to finish up, my last video was that Nick should buy a park in Utah, and Utah is quite white, 78.60% white. But as information comes out about the Charlie Kirk, he was killed in Utah, and it may, although Mormons are white and they won't steal my car, although, it's looking like it could have been Mormon mafia hit on Charlie Kirk. And I've heard that the Mormons think of themselves as the real Jews. So anti-Jew talk, not good around these parts, so Nick should not go there. Also, the whole rapture and revelation shit, just like the evangelicals, I believe, I'm not sure, but the Mormons believe in that shit too. So looking at the states that Nick wanted to move to, I mean, Iowa, you know, like there's, you know, white areas are definitely the place to go. So something like this in a white area, no line of gunshot, and so a campground, and then you've got like a stadium like this, and you know, like you put the bleachers closer, maybe do a 20,000 seat stadium, but a wide area, a campground, and this sort of a stadium, and that's it. So I think I'm done with this video. Thanks for listening. See you next time.